Are you confident? Do you have consistency? How much conviction do you have? I'm Daniel Gomez, the Confidence Architect, a business strategist, keynote speaker, executive coach, and best selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you unlock confidence to create consistency and develop conviction. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. And woo, I'm pumped up. We're coming up off an amazing speaking weekend. I tell you what, I was fired up because live events are back. Woo, woo. And I'll tell you, in this show, we're not only going to inspire, motivate you, but we're going to definitely talk about some money today because my guest is an amazing gentleman. We actually had a chance to share the stage. And it's one thing when you see somebody from afar, but when you hear them speak, I always say you have a way of hearing somebody's heart when they speak. And this gentleman, we actually talked about his heart during dinner. I'm sorry, during business and dinner that night. And one of the other speakers said, Brad's just speaking really spoke to me. So let's welcome to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, the one and only from H-Town, Houston, Texas, Mr. Brad Blazar. Welcome, my friend.
Oh, hey, Daniel. How are you this morning, my friend?
Man, I'm pumped up. I'm excited. I was just after sharing the stage with you, I was looking forward to today and just getting to continue the conversation because if when you were at these live events, man, that time flies by and you don't say half the stuff that you wanted to say. So, man, I know who you are. I just shared the stage with you, brother. It was an epic time. But introduce yourself to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. Who is Brad Blazar, my friend?
Hey, Brad Blazar is known around the world as the $2 billion guy. Why? Because I've raised $2 billion in investor capital. And what we do is we teach people how to do that as well. But, I'm a three-time author. I just came out with my third book. I'm a podcaster. I got my own show, much like you do, called Beast Nation. So for those of you that are listening to Daniel Gomez Inspire, if you like filling your head with good stuff, if you like to get motivated, check out Beast Nation on YouTube, become a subscriber, or go to my website. You can look at all of the former episodes there. Daniel was on one that we did not too long ago. But, it's just all about really helping people. I'm at a point in my career where I've been successful. People always ask me like, shit, you don't need to be doing this. Like, why do you do it? And it's because I know that what I do can literally change somebody else's life. When people send me emails or they send me a picture and they say, hey, this is the first multifamily property or the first piece of real estate deal that I've ever invested in, that makes me so excited because I know that I'm changing people's lives. And most importantly, I'm helping people. That's really what it's all about, man. When you add value to other people, you're going to get returned in spades.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll tell you what, I definitely want to get some backstory, though, because I know, dude, you're the $2 billion guy, very successful, very, very successful. Where did all this begin, man? Like, there was a point in your life you were tired of something. You said, I tolerate it enough. I'm done tolerating things and change it. Most people want to do it. They never do it. And you did it. And that's why you're known as the $2 billion guy. You got clients all over the world. But where did this arise from, man? Tell us just the humble beginnings where you came from, Brad, if you don't mind.
Well, the funny thing is that, I came from just, your traditional, middle class background. I mean, not rich, not poor. My dad was an executive and, we moved around every couple of years. I grew up probably in 7 or 8 different homes. And then, as the kids get older, my mom got the job. She was a real estate agent. She had that nice little Cadillac, that all the realtors have to drive around and, show properties. But I had a very, very influential uncle that was, very successful, multimillionaire. And he always taught me, Brad, always surround yourself with people that know more than you. And so I went off to college and I really wanted to become an architect because I love designing things and I wanted to use the architectural skills to eventually do real estate development and become an entrepreneur. But while I was in college, I actually was looking to get a part-time job. And so I just was going through the newspaper one day, circling all the ads. Oh, I can do that. I can do that. And one of the jobs kind of stood out to me. It was working for a small oil company. And so I went in and I sat down, with the CEO and he said, what we'd like to hire you to do, Brad, is come in and just, we're going to give you a list of people that have money and you're going to be taught how to reach out to them, how to communicate to them, what to say. And you're going to basically see if you can inspire these people to invest alongside us in our drilling programs. And I said, great, I can do that. And so over the course of a couple of weeks, they taught me really a skill that has now stayed with me my entire life. And that was how to reach out to people, how to build that trust, how to build that relationship. And as a 21-year-old kid, working 12, 15 hours a week between my classes and after school, I was making close to $100,000 in commission. And I'm like, my God, like, why am I going to school to graduate and make 60 to 70 as a starting architect when I'm making more than that, just working like 12 to 15 hours a week? My God, how much money could I make if I was doing this 40 hours a week? And so basically, without telling my parents, I just quit going to school and I started doing that full time. Now, my parents eventually got my grades and they went ballistic and they blew up like, what are you doing? You're throwing your life away. We've saved and scrimped to put you through college, yada, yada. And I went to work basically for a second company. And then ultimately at the age of 23, I started my own business where I took $10,000 that I had saved. I basically took the biggest risk of my life and I launched an oil company. And to be honest, I didn't know anything about running a business. I didn't know anything about accounting. All I knew how to do was just get on the phone and sell. And so I hired some salespeople. I taught them what I know. They started raising money. And before you know it, I was growing an oil company. And we eventually grew to a nice sized business where I had 35 employees. We were raising millions of dollars a month. I had drilling programs going in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. And then as they say, quote, the shit hit the fan. 1987, 88, oil prices plummeted. The tax laws were changed. And so that took away a lot of the incentives. And so I just made the decision one day to slowly just collapse the business. One day we no longer existed, but I never had to file for bankruptcy because I never had any debt. And about a year, maybe a year and a half, man, I just floated around like a cork in the ocean. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to go back to college. I was out trying to find jobs and people looked at me and like, hey, we'd love to hire you, Brad. We'd give you a starting salary of like, $65,000, $70,000. And I just like laughed. I'm like, folks, I used to make this like a month.
Bro, baby, yeah.
And so what I realized was I was highly overqualified because of my skill set. And so I decided then I'm going to just go back to college. So I sucked it up, went back to school, studied hard, came out top of my class. Now I had the nice little diploma that everybody tells you need. Oh, you got to have a college degree. And again, I went out and people wanted to pull the same shit. And I'm just like, man.
So let me ask you this. Let's backtrack. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the show where I tell you, get your pen and paper out. It's time to put pen to paper because you retain more information when you write it down. And Brad's going to drop some wisdom right now. So I want to ask you this because not everybody, you speak it like it's so easily done. And I give you props for that. But not everybody can start a business and then next thing you know, you grow it to over 30 salespeople. It doesn't happen. What happened in that journey, man, that you learned about yourself that you're like, because I think, we came out of 2020 and some people are still lost in 2020 and they can't get over it and they're never going to get over it, unfortunately, but you came out of a position and then you grew it to over 30 people. What are two things that you can talk to right now to business owners that are listening to this podcast and they're saying, well, that was nice, but this is a different time. But I don't think that. I don't believe in that. I believe that it's whatever you see your perspective, right? So what are two things that you can teach us today to grow our sales team, to grow that? Because without, the truth is this, if we don't have any revenue, if we don't have any sales, ain't no business going to make it, right? It's no business.
Exactly. Yeah. I tell people that I coach, businesses basically are in one of three stages. Okay. You're either growing, okay? You're either stable, which means that, you're neither attracting or losing customers. You're just kind of getting by. Every year is pretty much the same. Or you're entropic. Entropy means you're dying. You're losing customers, you're losing revenue, and you're going to be out of business. And what I learned when I was in business was a skill that I still believe in today. And that is, you've got to be taking a certain percentage of your revenues or your profits or whatever and reinvesting back into your business. So many entrepreneurs, once they become successful, man, it's like, like eating dinner with your like arm around the plate. Like from the dog from your siblings. I mean, I grew up in a family of four, Daniel, and if you weren't looking, like, the fork would come across the table, right, to, grab a shrimp or whatever. And so we always sat, but a lot of entrepreneurs have that mindset. It's like, shit, I'm sitting on 50 grand or I'm sitting on 100 grand in money now in my account. They don't want to spend that. Why? Because what they're so fearful of and what they're scared of is the ability to replenish that. And I get that mindset, man. It's the mindset of scarcity versus the mindset of abundance. But you've got to always be reinvesting your money back into the business to improve yourself, getting new knowledge, educating, but also adding people. I heard Brad Lee speak one day, and what Brad Lee said was so brilliant. He said, entrepreneurs only have 24 hours in a day, right? And so we think if we're working from 8 to 5, and that's our traditional, quote, 40-hour work week. He said, how do you get another 60 or 80 or 100 hours? How can you literally just completely revolutionize that clock? The way to do that is you hire more people. If I can hire now another person and largely replicate what I know with that other person, that 40-hour week is now an 80-hour week. And then I hire somebody else. Now I'm at a 120-hour week. And so when you understand these principles of replication and systems of how to build a
Yes.
business, you can scale. I mean, shit, today, my coaching business, it's not just me sitting in my office here at the house. I've got Lisa, Robin, Ruben, Daniel. I've got a whole team of people that the world does not even see, because that's how I'm going to blow this thing up. That's how I've blown it up to get to the point I'm at today. And so people say, well, shit, how did you get clients in 7 countries around the world? Like, how are you even coaching people in Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom? It's learning that I don't have to be there physically. I can be there virtually. And so when you start understanding many of these principles about how entrepreneurs go from 7 figures to 8 figures and then join the 2 comma club to get to 9 figures, and you start basically investing into your own business, you start to see the results of that. And you have
Let me ask you this.
Scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset is limiting. It's the self-doubt. It's the limiting beliefs that you have to understand are bullshit.
Do you think maybe, and I'm going to say this, so I'll be totally transparent because I'm always that way. I think for me, what happened was, came out of the car business, I was making pretty good money. Then next thing you know, I already had that revenue in my mindset, right? I'm worth that. I hit it. I started surpassing it. Then I got a little bit complacent. And then one of my coaches told me, he goes, dude, like, it's cool you got some money in the bank now, but you're worth more than that. I'm like, well,
exactly.
And I didn't see it, right? But it took my coach to say that. He goes, dude, like, why not, dude, go for that milli, man. Just do it. What the heck are you scared of?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think so many people don't see that. Talk about us a little bit like that, how they don't see this within themselves, that with some of your clients that you've seen.
Well, number one is we as human beings are unfortunately programmed for comfort and complacency. There's a part of the brain called the reptilian brain, and it's designed to keep you out of harm's way. It's the fight or flight syndrome that's inherent in animals. And so what largely happens to us as human beings is we get to a point and we reach a level of success where most of our needs are met. We got a house, we got a car, we can go to the grocery store, put food on the tables. It's not like we have to go out like a lion and hunt our prey every day. We just go to the refrigerator. Tonight I'm going to have hamburgers. So we get to a point where we're largely comfortable. And what happens is we quit hustling, we quit grinding. Yeah, we show up every day, but we've lost what I call that prey drive. One of my good friends talks about this concept that I love called prey drive. Prey drive is prevalent in dogs and the large cats. It's the ability to see something optically with your eyes or in your mind and then pursue it and catch it. And I believe that that prey drive exists in people. It's just that it's dormant. In
Yeah.
other words, it has to be activated. And that's where a good coach can come in and help you flip that switch and activate that prey drive. So you wake up every day hungry. You wake up every day wanting more. You wake up understanding the mindset of abundance. And I think that for a lot of people, that prey drive is like dormant. It's like when I get on stage and I ask an audience, how many of you here in the room today believe that there's another gear inside you that you can be operating at with much greater intensity that just yet has not been flipped? It's like every hand goes up saying, yeah, I know I can be doing a lot more shit. Well, then why aren't you doing it? Well, I'm happy where I am making my 250. I got a nice house. Yeah, but shit, dude, you could be making 600.
Yes.
You could be making $1 million. Why are you not doing that? And here's the answer. Everybody wants six-pack abs, but very few people are willing to go to the gym to get them. Everybody wants to be making more money, but very few people are willing to put in the extra work, in the extra effort. Why? Because it's hard.
Boom, baby. There you go right there. Do the work.
You got to do the work. Exactly. You know, people don't see what entrepreneurs have gone through to create 7- and 8-figure businesses, long nights, you know, traveling away from the family. You got to do the work, folks, because it's just like Zig Ziglar says, if you're willing to do what other people's are unwilling or won't do, you will at some point be living a life that others just simply can't. That's fact.
Boom, baby. You know, I love that because so many people, I think once, I love that word, prey drive. I'm going to start using that, the prey drive.
It's a great concept.
I need to wake up the prey drive within you, Daniel. Wake that crap up. I'll tell you, because once I heard it and I respected my coach, and I was like, that ain't me. And then I really did a self-assessment of what he told me. I was like, you know what? I did get fat. I did get fat and lazy, to say, right? That's just my analogy. And I got comfortable is what I'm saying. But the moment I really just said, you know what, it's time to take another level. 2020 came to a finish, and next thing you know, we finished 2020 strong. 2021, we had a record-breaking year. And then it's like, I love what you said, because the reinvestment part, I think when I see Mike, when I go in there and do my business coaching, and whether it's a small business, whatever it may be, a small enterprise, is that even if it's a small enterprise with 50 people and the business owner gets comfortable, it trickles down.
Yes.
And I heard something from somebody, I think it was Laura Langmeyer, said, when I bought my jet, I bought it because, was I a little bit like unsure or scared? Who isn't going to be when you're buying a $1 million aircraft? She said, but I was willing to bet on myself. I was willing to make that investment on my future self, right? I made it this far, and I knew that down the road I was going to produce the revenue that I needed, and it challenges you. And when I heard that, I just heard that here because we were on the same mastermind. We spoke on the same stage here about 2 months ago. I said, I'm over here playing this game. I'm doing great. And I call it a game because it's a game within your mind. And it's either you're going to go to the next level or you're not. And I talked to this other coach of mine, that we just finished our sessions. And I said, man, I'm thinking about buying this car. He goes, well, buy it. I said, well, let me tell you a story, Daniel. I said, what? He said, if I was to drive up to you and I was driving a beautiful, beautiful brand new Ford Fusion, and I asked you for $1,000, $10,000, would you give it to me? I said, well, probably not. He goes, but if I was driving a nice luxury car and I looked like I had a little bit of promise behind me, would you buy it? Give me the money? Would you give me 1,000 or 10? I said, probably. He goes, well, then you answered your own question.
Yeah.
And I say that because I had to make this investment and I bought myself a new car, but it was more, and that wasn't so much the car to buy it just to say I have a car. No, it was an investment because it's a type of coaching client that I want to attract to my future self, to grow into that position. And most people won't bet on themselves. I said, well, I thought about what Laurel said. I said, I'm going to bet on myself. It's not a selfish reason. It's a business decision. And it was a big decision that we made, but I'm happy with it. But I can tell you out of that, I already got a client because of that.
There you go.
I love what you said, prey drive. So keep telling us what you were just saying. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you're dropping so much wisdom, man. I just really want our audience to be taking notes. If you're not taking notes, this is the first time I've ever said it. Brad's going to drop some wisdom. He's a $2 billion guy, and take it away, Brad. So let me ask you this. We activate that prey drive in us. And then what's the next step when somebody starts to get comfortable, Brad?
Well, when somebody starts to get comfortable, they reach a plateau. And, you constantly have to be exposing yourself to, number one, bigger people that have altitude over you, because bigger people tend to have bigger thoughts. They're big thinkers. They're doing big things. And when you start circulating and connecting with those types of people, you start to see that there is bigger potential, that there are bigger things you can be doing. And more importantly, big people that have reached a level of success, what I have largely found in getting to know many of them is they want to help the people on the journey up. They want to help you, the listeners to Daniel's show, become more successful. The second thing is your environment. Expose yourself to an environment that really inspires you. A couple times a week, man, I'll pack up my laptop, I'll get in the car, and I'll go to a badass hotel like the Ritz-Carlton, the Four Seasons, or I'll go up to the Penthouse where it has a beautiful view out to the whole city, and I'll just open up my laptop and I'll be working away. Why? Because it inspires the shit out of me. I mean, people there got money right up in the front, the valet man, the Bentleys, the Ferraris, right? And so just being exposed to a different environment largely can help flip that switch and get you to work with greater intensity. As an example, when I did my event Capital Con in April, I made the decision, I'm going to do this event. Great. Picked the date, and then I started reaching out to all these speakers, right, that I wanted to be at my event. And I reached out to Kevin Harrington, one of the original sharks on Shark Tank. Kevin said, yeah, man, count me in. Sounds great. Love what you're doing. Love the fact you're teaching people how to raise money. I'm going to be there virtually, and I'll lower my speaking fee to $17,500. Great, done. And I'm thinking $17,500 before I'd even sold a fucking ticket. Now, my ticket started at basically $179, and I did the math on that, and I said, that's a lot of tickets just to break even on $17,500 for one speaker, let alone not even renting the room, not even serving the food. And then once I started thinking through this decision, I'm like, this damn event's going to cost me like 50, 60 grand. That's a big nut. And I can either lose money, I can break even, or I can make a profit. And so I had to start getting creative, like, and what am I going to do? How am I going to cover that? And that's when I said, let me bring in sponsors. Let me go out to companies and businesses and say, hey, buy 10 tickets, or better yet, I'll give you a table for like 10 grand and you can sell your services to all the people that are going to be at this large event. And then ultimately, we got Sharon Lecter, we got Kevin Elko, we got, Coach Michael Burt, A-list panel. I mean, it was one of the best panels you ever could assemble. But what I did is I faced that fear head on.
Yes.
Because most people are held back from doing bigger things in their life by limiting beliefs, self-doubt, and fear. It's the fear of the unknown. It's the uncertainty. Will I ever be able to replenish that money or replace it or getting it back? And I just said, boom, I'm going to do it. But here's the great thing. Made a little bit of money. Everybody that was there had a phenomenal time, said we're definitely coming back to number 2. The speakers, did a phenomenal job. But what it did is it positioned me in the industry now as somebody that is a badass that people want to do business with. And once I did that and I realized I can do it, it's like going to do it again. But next time it's going to be bigger. It's going to be better, bigger name speakers, bigger venue, et cetera, et cetera. Fear, and write this down, folks, like Daniel said, this is a bomb. This is a golden nugget today. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real. It appears real in your mind, but it's false. There's no justification behind it. It's just because of the way you were brought up and all the people in your past, like your parents and your teachers that consistently over 15, 20, whatever, how many years kept saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't touch the hot coals, don't do this. And so your program, don't do this. It's the self-doubt that is at the subconscious level of your mind that's there again to, like I said before, protect you.
Yes.
People jump out of airplanes all the time. They're parachuters. People go to Australia. They get in the water. They swim amongst the great white sharks. Why? Because they face the fears. And here's what I'll tell you. When you have something that scares you, you have two decisions you can make. Okay. You can forget everything and run. FEAR, forget everything and run in the other direction. That's what most people do. Or you can face everything and rise. Because when you conquer that fear, what in the hell do you think is going to happen to your level of confidence? It's going to explode. You're going to say, my God, I never thought I could pull that off. And look at what I just did. Holy cow. And
Boom.
then you're going to be motivated. You're going to want to do something else bigger and better. And Daniel's right, man. That beautiful car that he's driving now, it's going to attract a whole bunch of the right kind of people. In September, I'm taking a small group of 7 people along with me on a private jet, man. We're going to be all getting on a beautiful private jet. We're going to be flying from Houston to Nashville, Tennessee to go to the Monster Nation event with Coach Burt and Hank Norman and Brad Lee. I ain't flying no Southwest Airlines or United. Why? Because I want to attract a different caliber client. When they see old Brad Blazar getting on a private jet,
yes,
20 grand.
Yes.
For $20,000, folks, it's roughly $3,000 a flight hour for those of you that have never flown private. Now, I can go Southwest for $250, or I can go United, but I'm spending $20,000 to get on a jet with 6 other people.
Yes. I love what you said. I love the analogy, how you describe fear, because we've all heard the analogy, face everything and rise. But I love what you said, false evidence appearing real.
Yes.
And I love the way you described it, the way if you could see Brad right now, he did this thing when he kind of touched his brain. It's in your mind. False evidence appearing real in your mind. It doesn't even exist.
Exactly. That's the point, folks. Here's what I'll tell you. You have to stop listening to yourself and start talking to yourself. That's the key to success. And I'll tell you why I know this. I am a marathon runner. I am a triathlete. And people always say, well, how do you run 26.2 miles? And I tell them, yes, there is a certain level of physical training, no doubt about it. And you can train to run a marathon in 3 months. Okay. You get the books, you increase your endurance regularly, you get on nutrition, etc. 3 months, you can be running a marathon. But here's the key, folks. A marathon is not an endurance race. It is a mental race. I guarantee you 12, 13, 15 miles into that run, I'm sweating my ass off. I'm saying, I could be at home fucking chomping down on a Big Mac, dude. Like, what am I doing out here with another 12 miles to go? And then you got to start talking to yourself, man. It's self-talk. And the problem most people have is they listen to themselves saying, oh, don't do this. No, you got to be talking to yourself. It's the affirmations, like Daniel's probably told you guys so many times, the 2 most powerful words in the world, I am. Because whatever you add and associate to that will largely define your reality. Like Zig Ziglar said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it will what? Achieve.
Baby.
Boom.
I love what you're saying, because it is a mental game. Business is mental too. We talked a little bit about this in the conference. We talked about, it's not the fact that you can't succeed. You leave the 9-to-5 job. And I've said this over and over again. You leave the 9-to-5 job, but you don't leave the mindset of the 9-to-5 employee. And you wonder why.
Yes. You've got to basically understand, and I've interviewed some of the biggest thought leaders in the world on my podcast, people like Kevin Harrington, Brad Lee, Coach Burt. I've been around all these people. What they've told me is that successful people do not listen to the noise. They do not listen to the haters, the naysayers. They block it out and they focus on their goals and they focus on talking to themselves. Because I'll tell you this, on the journey to success, there will be haters. There will be naysayers. I can't tell you, every day in Facebook, I get some person posting some bullshit crap onto one of my posts like, oh, our boiler room's back in favor today when it comes to raising capital, or this guy's selling bullshit. All you guys that are saying interested, you all are fucking stupid. I love that shit. Why? It tells me I'm doing the right thing, and that's why I'm making 7 figures and those people aren't. People are haters. Why? Because they're failures. They're insecure, and the only way they can make themselves feel good is to project their insecurities on someone else. It's like the bullies that you probably experienced when you were in school. Why are bullies bullies? Because they're insecure.
Yes.
And that's just
Wow.
reality, folks.
That's truth right there. That's a truth bomb right there.
But when you are on your path to success, you're going to have people that do not want you to be successful.
Well,
It's a
so let me ask you this. I love this. I love what we're segueing to here because I think somebody here needs to hear it,
it's
and
like
maybe maybe myself, right?
here's the $1 million nugget. Your friends and your family want you to be successful. They just don't want you to be more successful than them. That's the $1 million secret right there. And Brad Lee said, look, folks, when I was a young punk ass jerk selling cars, and when I started Lightspeed, it was all about trying to impress people. The Rolex, the fancy cars, the expensive dinners. He said, if I could add up all of the money that I spent trying to impress people, that number would really impress people. You don't have to impress people, folks. Just focus on yourself.
So let me ask you this. So on the journey, as you're going up, you're getting your business is growing, you're becoming that entrepreneur, you're becoming a micro influencer to say, how do you develop that tough skin? Because I think so many times we hear that, right? We hear don't ignore the naysayers, and I agree, right? But the reality is something said and something's going to trigger somebody because we all have had those triggers. So give us 2 words of wisdom on how to develop that tough skin to where you just got to learn to ignore them, I would say. But I want to get your perspective on that, Blazar.
And I know where you're going with this, Daniel. And I spoke about it at Laredo this weekend when you were there. You have to understand and find your purpose in life. You have to know why you're waking up every day. You have to know why you're showing up. You're exuding the effort. You're going through the motions, because without purpose, it's real hard to get back up when you get knocked down. It's real hard to keep going when you get punched in the gut. And let me tell you, being an entrepreneur, you're going to get knocked down. You will get punched in the gut. Without purpose, it's very tough to continue moving forward. But once you have that purpose and you know what that purpose is, success is right around the corner. And I'll share a story. When I was in the oil business, I was looking to hire salespeople to come to work for me. And so one day, my receptionist calls me on my phone and says, Brad, Jack's here for his interview. Now, imagine this in your mind. I am in a very prestigious bank building where everybody in that building's dressed up in professional business attire. We got big securities firms like Prudential Bache and Smith Barney, big law firms with partners, big accounting firms, my office, the whole 3rd floor. Everyone's wearing nice starch suits with collars or a sports coat. Here's the guy that shows up for an interview in a pair of jeans that had holes in the knees, work boots that were covered in dust and mud, a flannel shirt, a mullet for a haircut looking like old Billy Ray Cyrus, a big old Fu Manchu. And for anybody that's ever seen the movie Joe Dirt with David Spade, this dude was like Joe Dirt's first cousin. Now, showing up for an interview like that, the interview for most people would have ended right there at the door. But that's just not who I am. I brought him in, gave him a cup of coffee. But when I asked him the $1 million closing question, Jack, why do you want to come work here for me? His answer was purpose. It's like, Brad, as you can see from the way I'm dressed, I'm a very humble, easygoing guy. But my wife and my daughter have big goals, big dreams and ambitions in life. And I want to give them everything that they deserve. Boom! I look at that,
baby.
that guy will shovel shit. He'll jump as high as I tell him to jump. Why? Because he's here for the 2 people in his life he loves more than anything else in the world. He wants to be successful for people, not him, that he cares about. That's his purpose. And that dude right here raised $25 million for my business through my coaching and training and made $250,000 in commission. He was happy. His wife was happy. His kids were bouncing. It was a win-win. Why? Because purpose. And so that's really what I would tell your listeners today is one of the key secrets. You've got to know why you're doing what you're doing, because it's not about the nice watch. It's not about the nice car. Those things come and go, folks. I can't tell you how many nice automobiles I've had in the driveway. The economy tanks or the business is now suffering and I got to go sell that damn vehicle. But when you've got purpose, purpose is going to get you through.
Love
Purpose
that.
is going to help you show up every single day. Daniel's got purpose. I've got purpose. I know why I'm doing what I do. And
I
it ain't
love
about
that.
me. It ain't about my bank account. It's about helping people get to another level in their life. And when I see that, that's what for me moves that needle.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. Well, let me ask you, what is a scripture or a quote that you rely on? Because you're very successful, but we all have those days that we have a rough day. We'll call them rough days. Roof, right?
Yeah.
What is a scripture or a quote that you rely on that kind of you stand on to get you through a day that's challenging for yourself, Brad?
Well, that's a hard one because there are so many things out there that I love that are one-liners. Your attitude defines your altitude, or your network is your net worth. Um, I won't say really that there's quote or a scripture. It's really more about my belief system and what I believe internally that has allowed me to get where I am and more importantly, where I want to go. But if there was really, any quote or one liner, it's largely that, you control your destiny. You are, quote, the captain of your ship. And the second that really you allow other people to have influence over you, or what you're capable of doing in life, it's time to find somebody else to associate yourself with. And really, what I've largely learned is you've got to have focus. You've got to write your goals down on a piece of paper and literally focus on them every day. And then one of the things that I also think is a really, really great mental exercise is that we all know that many businesses spend a lot of time working with their employees to create two things: a mission statement for the business, and then, quote, a value statement for the business. And it was many years ago that I had a mentor that said, Brad, why don't you write a mission statement for you and the life you want to live? And I was like, wow, a mission statement for me. And here's the funny thing: I've got that mission statement framed and it sits right up here in a corner of my office every single day. And what it largely defines for me is the life that I want to leave. It's not a scripture, it's not a one liner. It is literally a mission statement of the life that I want to live. Talks about how I'm going to donate to charity, how I'm going to get out of debt, how I'm going to be a servant leader, take care of my family and my siblings. And a lot of people don't ever get that focused. They just show up at the job every day. They're like that damn hamster on the treadmill going every day and they never get off. And they never wonder why they ever get to a point where they're successful. It's because
Wow.
they don't know why they want to be successful. They have no idea, like, what does that even mean? What can I do when I become successful? Well, number
I
one is you can become a philanthropist. Number two is you can help your siblings. If your siblings aren't doing as well as you can actually get a tax deduction and send your siblings money every year and write it off your taxes and be, quote, that rich uncle that puts your nieces and nephews through college. And so I largely challenge your listeners to spend time, maybe over the next week or two, and sit down and literally craft a mission statement for their life and then frame it. Have it as something that you can look at every single day. The other thing is I'm big time goal oriented. And it's not that I have dreams, I have goals. And what I will do is I'll see something in the Robb Report or a magazine and I'll cut it out and I'll put it right up on the wall in my office so that it's looking me in the face every single day of the damn week. That's the Ferrari I'm going to be driving in 2 years, or that's the yacht that I'll be on in a couple years down in the Bahamas. Same thing with the jet. Okay, I get a picture of a jet. Well, guess what I'm doing in September? I've already told you. I'm getting on the damn jet, $20,000, and me and a couple of guests, and we're flying up to Nashville, Tennessee. And there will be a point in my life where more than likely I'll probably own a jet, if it makes sense.
Yeah, I love that, man. Wow, what an amazing time with you, Brad. I'll tell you what, I learned a lot. I think one of my biggest takeaways, I love the way you describe, right? Fear appearing real is all in your mind. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. And don't get comfortable, because once you get comfortable, you're going to start going backwards, and that's the last thing. Man, Brad, how do we get a hold of you? If some of the viewers want to connect, we're definitely going to put your information in the show notes, but how can we get a hold of you if they want to get in contact with you, my friend?
It's easy. I mean, if you go to Instagram, just, the little asterisk, Brad Blazar, follow me, become a follower, love my posts, give me the thumbs up. I'll do the same thing back. You can go to my website. My website is just my first and last name. It's www.bradblazar.com. Just make sure that when you're Googling me or you're typing in my last name, you're spelling it correctly. It's Blazar, B-L-A-Z like zebra, A-R. Don't put an E at the end. It's A-R. And then, of course, you can email us, info, I-N-F-O, at bradblazar.com. We'd love to connect. We'd love to get you on our calendar. We'd love to have a strategy call with you. It's no obligation. It's completely free. It's really just designed to give you some insight, give you some direction, and see perhaps, whether what we offer or what we do at Capital School or in our other program is going to help you in any way. I got 3 books. I guarantee one of my books can help you get on a better path. My first book was rated as the #1 read for young entrepreneurs on a major literary blog overseas. Why? Not because it had all these business things about how to set up a business. It was because of the mindset and the coaching in that book on how to develop that mindset, to develop that tough hide, like Daniel said, so that you have the hustle and the grit, and you're showing up every day, just putting one foot in front of the other every single day of the week. Because there are going to be plenty of times, folks, when you want to sleep in late, or better yet, you want to take the entire day off. And that's fine if you've earned it, or if you're taking a family vacation. But successful people get up early, and by 12 o'clock, they've probably done more than most people that are working 8 to 5, because they organize. Here's a trick I learned. Most successful people do not use the weekends to goof off. They do not use it as a respite from life. What they do is they spend Saturday and half a day Sunday with family, relaxing, rejuvenating, replenishing. But there's a couple hours on Sunday where what they're doing is they're planning the following week to show up and be successful. Who are the big people I need to connect with? What important meetings do I need to be adding to my calendar? Because if you can plan for success so that when you show up Monday morning, you're not living on the defensive, leading a reactionary life to the incoming calls or the incoming emails, but you're being proactive. You're now living your life on the offensive.
Yes.
That's how you win Super Bowls, folks.
Baby. That's Brad Blazar, man. What an amazing show. I got to tell you, we're going to put this information in the show notes here. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning on today. That's another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. And if you're stuck in life, if you're stuck in business, don't forget our Shield of Faith coaching. Go to www.danielgomezglobal.com. That's www.danielgomezglobal.com. We won top 20 executive coach and business coach here in San Antonio. We can definitely help your business and your life get unstuck. Until next week, we'll see you here again on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show with another amazing guest. Have a blessed and amazing day. Boom. This is Daniel Gomez, and thank you so much for tuning into our show today. We'd love your feedback. Please drop us a comment, and thank you for leaving us a review. Don't forget to subscribe to our show and share this episode with a friend. And my free gift for listening to our show today is a copy of my best-selling book, You Were Born to Fly. To get your free copy, go to danielgomezinspires.com and get your copy today. That's danielgomezinspires.com. And to elevate your life and business even more, follow me on social media at Daniel Gomez Inspires on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence.